got the marks to get into medicine, so I started medicine. Half a year later, I went, no, this is not for me. I've always wanted to do architecture, if not architecture, something in the arts.
Where was rock bottom? Take me back to rock bottom in the business.
It was actually 10 years in. I was like, I am working my guts out. It was just on. Throughout that process, I was on IVF trying to have a child. Turns out I had terrible endometriosis.
You kind of got a client avatar or a project avatar of what a good project looks like. How do you get those jobs?
I never used to think about marketing. I didn't even have good photography for the first 10 years of my business.
How do you stay creatively inspired when you're also trying to juggle all the other demands of running an architecture and design practice? I'm Linda Habak, and this is Build Beautiful, where design meets depth. Welcome back to Build Beautiful. Today's guest is someone I've long admired, not just for her design work, but for her honesty. Brooke Aitken has been running her own studio for over 20 years, and somewhere along the way, she said something that stayed with me. I was happy but broke. In an industry that often hides the struggle behind glossy portfolios, Brooke has lived and survived the full arc, the passion, the droughts, the questioning, and the breakthrough. This episode is for every creative who's poured heart into their work and wondered if it would ever pay off, financially, emotionally, or otherwise. We talk about staying in the game, the myths of success, and what it means to finally find a rhythm that feels true. Because sometimes building beautiful takes time. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Linda.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And yes, it does take time.
It does take time. Well, we're going to talk all about that. But maybe before we get to that, let's start at the beginning. Talk me through how you ended up in architecture. Why architecture for you?
Mm-hmm. So at school, I was very good at art history, and also sciences. My father was a doctor. My mother was a pharmacist, but she really was an interior designer at heart. At school, I did really well. I got the marks to get into medicine, so I started medicine, which, my father had actually already in his mind put a little sign out, shingle that was polished so that my name could be under his.
That's so beautiful.
Half a year later, I went, no, this is not for me. I've always wanted to do architecture, if not architecture, something in the arts. So I cut my hair off, dyed it white blonde, went to work for a cafe in hip Paddington at the time. I was 18. As you do. And, just went all in for architecture. Oh, wow. He didn't speak to me for another half a year.
I was going to ask you, was he a little heartbroken? How did he cope with it?
Heartbroken, but it's okay. It's okay. I was meant to do this.
Yeah, you really were meant to do this. And you have done it for many, many, many years.
Many years. Yeah. I left university in 94. I have been working in architecture for 30 years now.
And you started working in large-scale practices or?
So I started working in Daniel Corker Marshall in Sydney and underneath the tutelage of Richard Johnson, amazing man that he is. I actually started in the interior section of DCM. At the time it was called DCMI, and it had Sue Carr as the head. Wow. So effectively I've worked for car design for a year, and then I transferred. I didn't move desks. I just transferred my hat into DCM. Mm-hmm. And I worked there for 6 years, and I was crazily the project architect for the interiors of the Melbourne Museum at 28 years old. It was ridiculous. But I think about now and think, why on earth, how would you give a child that responsibility? But there you go. It was amazing. I loved every minute of it. And I loved all the detail of it because I've always been really detail oriented. So
I see that in your work.
Yeah. Never very interested in urban design per se, but very interested in the detail. So from there, that was the end of 2000, and my husband had to go to London for work, so we packed our bags and went to London, and I got a job with Anushka Hempel in Anushka Hempel Design, and we stayed there until the end of 2004, and that's when I came back and started up my own company. So,
And what was the catalyst to starting your own company and not just going back into practice for a firm?
Through working at Dentical Commercial, I actually had my own company. So I was being paid absolutely nothing, so I had to support myself in other ways.
Yeah.
And so I was doing restaurants, I was doing people's homes. So, I was sort of channeling that, and I loved it. I really loved it. And so when I came back, I actually already had clients going, "You're coming back?
Great.
Let's do the next thing."
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
it just felt so easy that I could do it.
So you come back, you go full throttle into your own business. What did business look like then for you in those early days?
October 2004 is when I started my own business. In 2005, got very much into it. I think by then I had so much work that I could bring on extra staff. So it was me working in the dining table, the people coming in and out. It was very ad hoc. I actually didn't know what I was doing in terms of business. I knew I had a very fixed vision about what I wanted for my firm. I wanted to be an interior designer as well as an architect. Yes. But I didn't do interior design at university. I did architecture at university, but I went to work for an interior designer in London. So
one would say that the experience of working for someone is almost even more valuable than...
Exactly. I mean, the level of work that Anushka Hempel Design does is slightly different to mine, but not to say that I wouldn't want that level.
Yes.
But, came back and started doing small renovations, but still really wanting to do the interiors of the renovations as well. But I didn't know how interior designers built in this country. I only knew, because working for a large firm, you never get into how they're billing. Working for Anushka Hempel, we were very much separated from the billing of that. So I had no idea what I was doing. Again, what I wanted to do was make beautiful rooms. So, that was so exciting for me to be able to have, it was mine, and I was able to do what I wanted to do for a client, to see a client's vision come through with how I've designed it for them. So that was exciting.
Yeah.
And then it just very organically grew from there.
Because I see that in your work, it's very integrated. The architecture and the interiors it's such a soulful integration. It doesn't feel like someone's done the architecture and someone has done the interiors.
Correct.
Really.
That's our thing.
Yeah, that's your thing. That's what sets you apart. It's your USP, your unique selling proposition. We were on a panel together not that long ago, and what I do remember is being totally mesmerised by what you were saying. You spoke so passionately about the work and how much you love the work, but also about the challenges of the business. I'm going to quote you, but you said, "I was happy, but I was broke." I just remember being, the honesty and the authenticity that you brought to that conversation. It was so powerful. So can we take a minute and can we just talk about the business of design? Because I know you've done a lot of work around that. Take me back to the earlier stages, and where was rock bottom?
I didn't actually have payroll for almost 7-8 years. I just had people that I would pay as hourly rates, or they were all contractors. So I didn't have to think about, I've got to make payroll this month.
Yes, yeah.
But at some point, it was actually 10 years in, I was like, I am working my guts out. I do not stop working on weekends. I can't go on holidays without knowing that I've got to be on call at all times. It was just on. And I was tired. I was so tired. I had just built my house in Alexandria, and I had gone own a builder on that as well. And
that's a lot. That'd break anybody.
Absolutely exhausted. Yeah. Also, throughout that process, I was on IVF trying to have a child. Turns out I had terrible endometriosis, but I had no idea because I have a very high pain threshold and I just work through it. So nothing ever really said to me, oh, there was something terribly wrong.
Yeah.
But I was being pumped full of drugs and I was built my house and I just thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? I didn't mind not being pregnant. It wasn't my be all and end all. It was just I was so exhausted from all of the drugs.
And how did that go?
No, it was
difficult.
Yes, it was meant to be. I love my life and I don't know why I spent so many years trying for that when I knew, I'm actually very happy. I've got a beautiful stepson. He's been with me since he was 5 years old, so I'm
that's so beautiful.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, rock bottom happened when by that stage we'd moved out of the house into a new office, which is where we are still to this day. I finally had staff that I was paying, PAYG, and, there were months where I'd go, ooh, can I pay myself? This is just crazy. Oh, my God. And I thought, why is this happening to me? I've got amazing clients. I've got a great network. I think I do pretty good work. So why can I not just make this business work?
Yeah.
And this is when podcasts just started being a thing.
Yeah.
And I just thought, either I shut up business and go work for a big firm again, which I actually had been really contemplating because I felt like a failure that I wasn't able to support. Well, I was supporting my people in PAYG, but I wasn't really supporting myself and my family.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is ridiculous. Well, it turns out I actually didn't know how interior designers actually build. So I was missing a huge amount of fees just from not having any idea whatsoever because I've done everything myself. I've not trained in business through a practice, through an architecture practice or an interior design practice. So I was just making it up. So I went along. Oh, that'll be fine. So I had a long, hard chat with myself and started listening to podcasts and found the business of design and things just went bing.
Yeah.
Why have I not? It's amazing that I haven't gone bankrupt already because I'm just, it's all about the work. It's not, you've got architects that their dreams are always to be working in that little white eyrie by themselves. It doesn't matter about whether they get paid or not, but it's about the work.
Yes,
that's the sort of thing you get taught at university. It's about the work. And then
it's great until it doesn't sustain you, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy.
And so where was the penny drop? At what point was it that things went ping and you thought, right, I've got to really focus on this? And what did that look like in practice?
Oh, it was the fact that I could pay my staff and I was thinking, oh God, I can't pay myself.
Yeah.
And this is crazy.
And then what was that transition point? What was the first thing you did to...
Started listening to podcasts. I couldn't actually extricate myself out of the business at that time because I had too many jobs on. We always were busy. So there was no way that I could close down and go immediately. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a design exercise for me. It's a problem. I'm going to solve it.
Absolutely. And so what were some of those early steps that you took? What did you extract from the podcast to then implement in the day-to-day?
I extracted from the podcast that I needed to become a Business of Design member. And then I just subsumed so much information. Podcasts often go money mindset. And I was like, oh, that term just so annoys me. But it was
there's something to it, right? There's a mindset shift that has to happen.
Right.
You almost have to believe that you deserve to make money because I think as creatives, we're certainly not taught that at college or university.
No, in fact, in my second last year of university, I had a tutor who said to me, oh, Brooke, your designs are fantastic, but you're just going to have really, really wealthy clients because you really can't design something that's just acceptable in terms of a budget. Oh my God, it was quite a socialist attitude. And I thought, I've got to always be really good about my fees and I can't design too expensively because that was the mindset of our university.
Yeah, and the educators.
It turns out that actually domestic architecture, and interior design, you do have to have a budget for it. You can't just be doing it on the cheap. And I don't think that mindset is something that they teach any longer, but it was certainly something that was taught in university for me.
So how did you counteract that mindset? What was the mindset shift for you?
I think being around interior designers, because that wasn't a mindset that interior designers have. You guys, and I'm calling myself an interior designer, but, you know.
But you are. As a business and a practice, it's absolutely. Yeah.
But, you know, I think that mindset is not, you know, you don't think about it. You think about how beautiful a room will be instead and how am I going to design that room. Yeah, the penny just sort of dropped. And then I went through every single course in Business of Design online, and then I made all of my team go through every single, well, at least go through the 15 steps of the Business of Design. We have now subsequently done that a second time around, where we've actually really gone into the depth of it, and I changed a whole heap of systems. I actually got systems.
That's a start. I mean, it's amazing, right? Once you start to document a process and you understand what is happening, you can see the holes in that process. I mean, every time something breaks down, we're like, okay, where is the hole in that system and how do we fix it?
How am I going to fix it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And where am I in that process? How have I affected that process? What have I done wrong? Not what has my team done wrong?
Yeah.
What can I do to change it?
If you're the bottleneck in that process, how do you unstick the bottleneck, actually? How do you clear it so that things can keep moving? Or it's challenging. There's a lot of moving parts.
Is. And I actually think that first 10 years of business, certainly as an architect, you're learning to do architecture in a region. You're learning gutter details. You cannot stop learning, either as an architect or an interior designer, the details, the documentation, the what's out there, the new, everything is, there's so much information. It is such a wealth of information that you have to constantly, just the fire hose of information you've got to turn on. So where in that do you have time to actually learn how to run a business? There is the issue. You've got to actually have some runs on the board, I think. You've got to be able to do architecture or do interior design before you actually can, at least, a few years in, really understand how to take time out to really understand your business.
And understand the process. You've had to have run it a few times to really then understand what it is, because it's all well and good to learn these things at college, university, whatever it is. Until you've actually lived through it and run a whole process, you just don't know what you don't know. I say you're building the car as you drive it.
Indeed.
So now you're driving the car, it's built. Tell me about...
The jalopy. It's got a few things falling off the back of it.
Oh, don't worry. We're all in the same boat. So where are you now? Obviously, we've moved on from the I'm happy but broke moment.
Yep.
You're clearly not broke anymore. You're kicking great goals.
We are.
What does it look like now?
So I certainly don't think I am an incredible businesswoman. I've got so much more to learn. I know when to say no when I can. I certainly think that we're 21 years into Brooke Aitken Design, and we've got another 19 to go, and that'll be 40 years.
I love how prescriptive that is. I've never even thought about it like that, but wow. So 19 years to go.
We're on the top of the hill. Well, no, maybe we're just going to go plateauing it.
Yeah,
there might be a few bumps. So I feel like the last 20 years I've really trying to work on beautiful things that we can be proud of, that we can really showcase and say, this is what we've done. And now I just want to throttle up the engine and go, okay, great guns.
Yeah.
So with that, I've got a team. There are 8 of us, and then there's actually one in America, but I don't think we're going to get much more American work at this present moment in the current climate.
You did do a beautiful project
we did 2.
Two.
Yeah.
I saw this
San Francisco one. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, we won 2 American Society of Interior Design Awards for that project.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it was so
how
weird.
How did you get that work? So tell me about the US market and how you...
So my closest friend from school, she married an American and they went to live in Palo Alto. I then did up their house, and their friend came to the house and went, I love it. Okay, this is very different from Australian design is actually quite different from American design, and just being able to see that there is something new and different. Yeah, she started texting me and said, I'm looking for a place to buy. And then she bought this incredible place that was right up my alley. It was a studio for a photographer that he loved Japan, and he did this studio that I then turned into a 2-bedroom house.
I know, and you did it so beautifully, and the aesthetic and the detailing, and I can really see that story. It felt like a story. You were telling a story actually in that project. How did you find designing for a different market in terms of material specifications? Did you have any challenges with that?
No. Same. Really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are obviously requirements, particularly in an earthquake zone that I didn't know about, but you just learn from your builder. If you've got a really good builder, then that's fine. But, you know, the electrical system is the same. Everything really was the same. I would say, I'm looking for something like this, and then we'd find out that this was actually being sold in America. So I think we are far more international than we think.
Yeah.
Global, sorry.
Yes,
global.
Yeah. And what do you think it is about the Australian aesthetic? Because I had Aidan Anderson on season 1. The local project has launched in New York, and it's doing extremely well because Australian design is really sought after. It's really interesting to the Americans. But from your perspective, what do you think it is?
I think we take risks, and I think that it's very homogenous mainly in America, and it depends on where you are in America, really.
Of course, yeah, that's right.
We revel in difference. We revel in new design, whereas I think that most, and I'm going to be incredibly terrible and just say most interior designers or architects, they're looking at just the standard. There's no real inspiration that I can see. I think Australians just really love colour, there's a lightness and a brightness to our work that I don't think.
And I think our light is different here. It's a bit like New Zealand. The light is so different, and that impacts colour.
It really does.
Colour combinations and then the courage to actually execute on that, because that can be challenging, actually. Yeah.
I actually think that we feed off each other. I think that we're at a really interesting stage of Australia being a design hub. We're a small country, and we are all very connected visually to each other in architecture and interior design. And I think we're all growing very exponentially in our design skills because of that.
Yes,
I think that's a really exciting time to be at.
And what are your thoughts on trends versus...
I hate the term.
Trends, I know I hate that term too, but how do you navigate things that are of the moment versus things that are, because I look at your work and I think some of the projects I was looking at, I still think will look amazing in 15 years' time. You cannot tell that it's been designed of a particular time, but we'll open up, a local magazine and you can see there is a rhythm and a language. And I think that in 5 years, we'll look back at some of that work and go, it was of that time. Yeah. So how do you and your team members approach that?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, like Millennial Pink just does my head in.
Is that the name of it? I didn't even know that.
As I call it.
Yeah. That's what I got on my notes.
I have always believed that design has to be classic and has to be, incredibly long-lasting. My architectural training was looking at the masters of modernism. So Le Corbusier, Carlo Scarpa, Kahn, all the Japanese architects. I mean, their work, when you go look at it, it's just incredible to this day. So
the detailing.
Yeah, I think that trends, I just wash your mouth out with soap and water because I hate that. I think our work, we try to do something that is either aligned to the house or the environment that the house is in or the client, and oftentimes it's both. So, for instance, we do a lot of work in older period style houses, and we did one in just on Centennial Park in Randwick, and it was a heritage listed building. And I could have been quite calm in how I responded to it. But the clients, I wanted to do something that was going to last, but the clients actually were so in love with colour. I mean...
Oh, that's like a dream client to get that wants to embrace colour. Not everybody does.
Not everybody does.
Yeah.
That's right. So the framework of the overall shell of what we did was very demure, but the interiors was incredibly colourful. So, if the interiors needs to change the colours in years to come, they can. But even the colour of, for instance, the bathroom, which is this multicoloured blue thing, that came from the blue of the fireplace that the bathroom has in it, that was from the 1800s. So,
there are references to the history. I love that. Yeah. I want to go back to the business, and you've got 19 years to go. So what does success look like to you, and when is enough in terms of, how do you define success for you?
Success has not happened yet. I think we are still on that journey.
So let's unpack what, if you haven't achieved it or reached it yet, then what is it that you're aiming for?
I would like every single person in my company to be earning a particular sum of money, and I have it in my head, but I'm not telling you guys that.
That's okay. You don't have to share that level of detail.
That's it. And I would like to be earning a significant sum of money, and I want to have enough to be able to retire happily. And that is the economic side of it. The design side of it is, I used to think, I want to be able to have awards. And when you've got awards, you're like, well, okay, that's fantastic. But that you realise that's not it. I want there to be projects that we look back on that we did, 30 years ago and go, it's still beautiful to today. That's success to me.
Yeah. So legacy projects.
Legacy
projects,
really
designing for timelessness. Unpacking the fact that you've got a financial goal, you clearly have it. Do you then take, and I'm not going to ask you what it is, but do you then take that amount that you're looking to achieve? Do you spreadsheet it out and break it down, go backwards and go, okay, in order to achieve this goal, we're going to have to hit these numbers? Do you have...
Wouldn't that be wonderful if I did that? Yes, I'm meant to have done that this year.
You're doing that when you leave today.
That's right. No, yes.
Because it's great to have a goal.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic to have a goal, but I think it would be a really good exercise to then strip that back and break it up into bite size.
And actually we do this. So I'm, as you know, a part of a small group of 8 called the Business of Design Boss Group members for Australia, BOAUS. And we do every 6 months look at each other's figures in spreadsheeted. In fact, we're going to be doing that. We've partly done it this year and we're doing it again next week. And so we know we're actually looking at each other's figures, but in relationship to how we making our own figures so much better and what do we need to do for that. So even though I haven't spreadsheeted it, it definitely is in my brain of how many jobs we need this year, what's our pipeline like, because we've always got jobs, but we need jobs that really step up and step up and step up. Maybe not in size, but in quality, in the amount of money that we can get for a job.
So let's talk pipeline then. And sounds like you've kind of got a client avatar or a project avatar of what a good project looks like. How do you get those jobs? What is your strategy? Because that's a $64 million question that everybody wants to know.
So interestingly, I never used to think about marketing. I didn't even have good photography for the first 10 years of my business, which was so stupid because I had great jobs that I'd done, but the photography was so bad that I just can't be showing them.
Go back and shoot them. Legacy projects.
Legacy project. We actually did shoot one that was 11 years old, and then I was like, oh, this looks like we've done it yesterday. This is great. But marketing, and we now have a person that Lizzie Rankert Creative, who is our media consultant, and that she came on, I think, has it been a year or 2 years now? Anyway, it's just completely changed how marketing is perceived from us, and it's really flooded our, Brooke Aitken Design into the ether, which is awesome. We're doing that because we want to be known. I think a lot of people didn't really know us because I used to always get clients word of mouth. And in fact, I was incredibly proud of that.
Yes.
And that's great, but that can only get you so many clients.
Absolutely. It does dry up.
It does
word of
dry
mouth,
up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I know that firsthand, actually. And so how do you transition?
We have seen that transition already.
By having the consultant.
By having the consultant.
Okay. And what does marketing look like for you in practice?
Hell of a lot of money.
Yes, it is. That's why I was in marketing for so long. But a necessary
But a necessary evil.
Yes, a necessary evil.
So, I didn't even have a marketing budget before, and now I've got a significant sum of money. But, I didn't have a newsletter before. I never thought I needed one. That in itself has been a real remarkable, people are talking about our newsletter. I'm like, I don't read anybody's newsletter. I delete everything.
I have to sign up to your newsletter because I join newsletters and then I unsubscribe. But there are a couple that catch me and I go, that's a good newsletter. And I then save them because I'm like, one day I've got to do a newsletter. And I think the ones that really say something and they're not just, and now with AI, a lot of it is just AI slop.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, please, so I think the fact that people are saying to you, your newsletter is really good and I've read it, that's amazing.
I know. And I look at them and go, you have?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
What did I say again?
That's right. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
She's also been really fantastic in that she does all of our writing for awards. And I used to take that on myself and, oh my God, I'm just not a great writer. So that just stress has just, and she pushes me because I'm always head focused in, the gutter detail or.
We're going to talk about
the gutter detail.
We're going to talk about the gutter detail and all of that in a second. With the marketing budget, now on reflection, do you see that that's been a really good return on your investment?
100%.
So you have seen
200%.
You've seen a direct impact to the bottom line.
Yes.
To the turnover and the profitability.
Yes.
Great. Love
Yes.
that. This is good stuff.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Remarkable.
Yeah, really. That's amazing.
We've had clients come to us going, I've seen you from XYZ.
Okay.
And I think, that wouldn't have happened without
that.
Lizzie. No.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where are the clients mainly coming from? Where are they seeing
All
you? Or
over.
is it just because you have a holistic strategy?
It's the black arts of marketing, right? It might be in a magazine. It might be the newsletter. It might be the new website. It might be Instagram. It might be LinkedIn. It's just so much.
Absolutely. I've followed Daniel Priestley. He's a business coach of some sort and he's all over socials. But I was watching one of his podcast interviews and he was saying that clients need 11 touch points actually to really convert and trust and build the trust. 11 touch points. And that's a lot of touch. That's a lot of touch over a period of time. But that's
a whole massage.
Exactly. But you are trying to build trust and credibility. So if they're seeing you in a lot of different places, then that's exactly, it's speaking to your point. And
trust is so important because they're giving over an unbelievable amount of money. And so they need to trust that you've got their best interests at heart.
Absolutely.
And they can see a vision for them that is going to make them want to go, honey, I'm home.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust is as designers or architects, you have to build it. You know, once you have the connection and they've walked through the door and they're your client, you have to build it quickly, actually, and then take them on the journey. And that is
something that you have to have innate with you. You've got to be a
Yes.
salesman.
absolutely, absolutely.
And have a lot of humour.
and a lot of humour, that's right. But we are salespeople at the end of the day. I think creatives generally think it's very crude to talk about money and, you know, we have money issues. But we are we're selling a design. We're justifying the value of a material selection or a design or whatever it is, but we are having to sell. We're selling a dream at the end of the day.
We're selling a dream and we're selling ourselves that we can make
right.
that dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And the conviction you need to have. So were there any points in the journey where you felt wobbly on your feet and you felt like you couldn't sell? Or do you think that comes quite naturally?
Yeah, I think that comes naturally to me. There is quite early on, it was awful. I hadn't got registered as an architect yet at the time, and I had these clients that had a beautiful site overlooking a bay. I won't say which bay. And I had designed an extension and I had said, your budget is way too small. There's no way that we can build for this. And they said, well, we'll just keep on going. And then finally we had a QS on board and of course it was 3 times the price. And I'd said, it's going to be 3 times the price. And then they thought that I had been, what's the word for it, untruthful, which was entirely not the case. But they were just so shocked that Sydney would be this. And think about it now, that was well pre-COVID. Yeah. And so they tried to get me disbarred from the Institute of Architects, which was just so unbelievable. And, you know, if I had known now what I know now,
yes,
I would have just gone, dudes. Yes. Well, actually, I probably wouldn't have taken on the job in the first place because were
there red flags?
There were red flags. And do you know what they built for actually even 3 times the cost of what my building was going to cost in the end. So they just needed to be taken on a journey. But I was too young at that time to go, actually, I need to stand in my space and say, you are wrong. This is wrong. Instead, I just went, oh, okay, I'm not going to fight it. They can't disbar me from the Institute of Architects. This is ridiculous. But I just withdrew. And so I lost lots of money and thought, okay, that's a learning curve. Now I'd be like, no way. No.
Yeah. So do you look back at that time and do you think it was almost like a necessary evil?
I wish that it was a necessary evil. I just had actually it probably would have been.
I'm saying, did you need to have the experience in order to learn from it so that you can grow from it? I
wish that I would say yes to that. What I needed was more time.
Time as in experience?
Experience, okay. Yeah. I didn't need to have them at that point, but the design was beautiful.
I'm sure it was, yeah. But you picked yourself up and you kept going, so you're here now.
Indeed.
Stick it.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about your studio, because when we spoke, you spoke so beautifully about your team. I think you spoke so beautifully about the team and that it's a family. And I think that's a really interesting conversation to have, because I have lots of conversations with people about staff, and you either have great experience. From my experience having the many conversations, what I find is either you're having a wonderful experience with your team or it's super challenging. And there's nothing in between, but you're having a wonderful experience because they feel like family. So let's talk about that and tell me.
So my sister Sam has been there for many, many years. Lisa is another graduate of architecture who actually went through university with me, and she's a sister from another mother. And then Melissa is another sister from another mother who I met in Tokyo in 92. And Lucy's our bookkeeper. I went to school with her. And there is Vivian and Ren. They both came to me straight out of university. Vivian's now been with me. She's into her 11th year and she is just remarkable. And Ren is now 4 years in, I think, and now an architect. And Lucas, who is another friend from university, he is connected to her by family. So there's always been somebody in the office that we have known of, that person that, so we employ them because they're part of some group that we know of, other than Ren and Vivian. And I think it's a very small firm. We work in a small space. We need people that really want to be like us, because if there's a person that just doesn't fit in the room, it's not going to work.
Have you had that? Have you had someone in the team?
We did have one, and they didn't last that long. But yeah, everybody else is just we actually have a WhatsApp group that's the BA Design alumni. So those that have left have gone on to different things, that we've still connected with them.
That says a lot, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what's your role in the business? Obviously, you're the principal. How does the work get disseminated amongst the team?
I'm a benevolent dictator.
Are you?
So I am the face. Sometimes work comes in from somebody else, like Sam or Lisa, but I'll always be at design meetings. So I say to the clients, you'll always have me at those big meetings, but you may not have me through the rest of the process. There'll be a project architect, and that person will be the person that runs the job. There's always a WhatsApp group for clients, and I'm always in every single one. There's always a WhatsApp group for builders as well. So we've got multiple WhatsApp groups. It does my head in, but it's good. I also get every email that goes out of the business. I get every single email. Whether I read it or not is another matter.
But you're across it.
I'm across it.
So
and I can see the whole Slack channel as well of every single job. So I do know what's going on in every single job at a high level, and sometimes in a very detailed level. So, there are jobs that I will run myself.
Are you proud of the fact that your team feels like family? Is that
100%.
Because that's the sense that I got when we spoke on the phone.
I love my team. I love working with my team. Why work if it's going to be a drag, man?
I know. I agree.
Life has to be fun. Yeah. And I don't see that we can make beautiful things if we've got to enjoy our lives. And so, most of your life you're working. And if you don't love what you're doing and love the people that you are spending so much time with, then stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Do you feel like you learn from them? It's a two-way?
Absolutely. Yeah. There is very little design that I do by myself that goes out without anybody seeing it. It is really a group
effort.
Yeah, and I've made it that way over the years.
Because it's not always like that in other practices.
No.
So I guess it'd be interesting to understand what is working for you, because it's clearly working well.
We do, everybody knows roughly what everybody's doing because we are in a small room. So if there is something that somebody designs that goes, oh, look what I've done, this is beautiful, we'll all crowd around and go, oh, yeah, or, oh, you can't just say this is going to be mine, no one else is going to work on it. And no one has just one problem either. If there's a problem, there's everybody's problem. If there's a design, it's everybody's design. One person will be running it, but we're always looking at each other's screens. And as I say, I'm sort of the benevolent dictator because I can walk around and go, no, that's not going to happen. Sorry. So there's got to be somebody at the top that says, okay, no, this is the direction we're going in, or, filtering down. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at saying not that we're going to do this way or we're going to do that way.
You were saying you are the conductor of the orchestra.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful analogy, actually, and you do that.
And we do a lot of design charrettes. So we'll get to a point in sketch design where the project architect and myself knows what's on the books, and then the whole team will sit at the table and the project architect will explain the design, and then we'll pick it to pieces and go, what if we did this? What if we did that? Wow. So,
and you do that for every project?
We do that for every project, yeah.
Amazing. So it's quite a flat structure, really.
Very flat. There's very little hierarchy.
That's good. So I think you get the best out of people when they feel like they're in a safe environment and they're all part of something bigger. You
totally.
need to, as a leader, I think you have to take people on a journey, and they need to feel like they're part of a bigger story than just doing this small bit. So
Absolutely.
I think that's wonderful.
But they also need to know that if I don't like something, it's not going ahead.
Yeah.
As much as you can fight
Still
it.
the boss.
It's still the boss. That's right.
I want to talk about the stretch of being a creative. You talk about wearing many hats and, you have to be across the gutter detail, but you also have to be across the P&L. Talk to me about how you manage the juggle.
And you've also got to know what fabric is going to be right in what scenario. Wow.
Absolutely. That's right.
How do I juggle it?
How do you stay creatively inspired when you're also trying to juggle all the other demands of running a architecture and design practice?
How do you stay inspired? I think that is having a team that has multiple inputs so that each person is coming with their own design ideas and they're bringing them to the table, and I foster that and I say, come to me with different ideas. Let's sort through them. And, it may not be a BA design aesthetic, but then sometimes what is a BA design aesthetic? I actually don't know what a BA design aesthetic is. So, yeah, I think that everybody's got to be up to the challenge. You just got to, really be, if you're coming to work for me, you got to be really wanting to bring it. So that's one way of staying inspired. I certainly can't be doing a Instagram scroll every day. That just does my head in.
It's a little soul destroying.
It's soul destroying. It really is. So no, don't do that. I do love travel, and I just came back from Japan. That's like my happy place, and I think that's one of the most important parts of getting inspiration is going out into the world and finding it, particularly from Japan. And the second question, how do I juggle it all?
How do you balance the juggle of wearing so many hats?
2:00 in the morning. Being awake for an hour.
Oh, God, I hate those two. I've had a lot of those the last month. It's very annoying.
Very annoying. I don't know, actually. I have this propensity for being able to work ridiculously long hours, and now I'm not.
Do you still do that?
Sometimes. No, daily, no, because my team is so good. So,
That's amazing.
Yeah, I way more rely on my team these days than I used to. So,
but that frees you up to do some other more strategic thinking about the business. And I think, where you're at, I would say those next 19 years, you're going to hit those goals, then you need that space, right? The space and time.
Totally.
So, yeah, I think that's critical.
I do want to have... We were talking about at 20 years, we went to Bundanon Trust and we had a retreat for BA Design retreat. And then we did a investigation into what are we going to do for the next 20 years. And I was like, well, I don't just want to be a figurehead. I want to really design. I want to really be a part of the design, at least for certain projects over the years. So I think that the juggle is making sure that all my team can do their work really well, and they do. And they all know what they have to do. And the systems, I think the juggle is the systems.
Systems will set you
free.
I'm
really
pretty sure
is.
Carla Middleton said that last week. She's like, systems will set you free. And it's true. It's true. And I think that is the crux of coming back to business of design. It's all about systemizing the business. And I think there's this idea that you can't do that for a creative business, but you can.
You can.
And you should.
You should.
Exactly. I want to just circle back a little bit back to systems for a minute. What do you think of all the things you've put into place in the business? What's the one piece of advice you could give someone that they could go away and implement right now in their business?
For us, Asana was a game changer.
I love Asana.
I love Asana. And I was able to write out... We've got 3 templates in Asana. If you're doing an architecture, if you're doing a class 2 apartment, if you're doing an interior decoration. And the architecture always has interior design in it. So we've got 3 templates, and if you're doing any one of those 3 projects, then you save that template and it is like a 101 of how to run the project. So it reminds you to do a sun survey or to make sure that you've not got acid sulfate soils and to check that your fabric in the curtain isn't linen and it's facing west because it will fail over time. So many problems that we've come across over the years has found their way into being check this, do this. There is a huge amount of checklists of things tips for young players that have come into it.
And did you build this?
Yes.
You did it yourself?
Yes.
I did that too a few years ago. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And we're constantly updating it as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so good. Do you also, with your Asana, are you able to track projects? Do you have like a bird's eye view of all the projects and the stages?
No.
How do you manage?
Yeah, it's in my head.
It's in your head.
I know, it's terrible.
Wow.
But that said, sometimes, you don't know where you're going to be because it goes into DA and it might be in for
That's right.
1.5 years. You've got no idea.
So how do you balance the workflow? Well, not just the workflow, but the pipeline, because architecture, like design, can be very lumpy. So how do you mitigate, how do you keep projects
It's funny
going when they're out of your control?
The universe provides. Really. And also sometimes I go, okay, guys, we just have to take on 110% because we know that we may not have X, Y, Z in the next 3 months or whatever. So let's just up the ante for a little while. And it just, it just happens.
It just all works out. Everything happens for a reason.
It really does.
I believe that.
Yeah. When you say, I think we're going to need just a very small job to flip in there, the small job comes along and it does.
And it just works, yeah. You talked about the next 20 years when you were in Bundanon thinking about what that looked like and you talked about wanting to stay in the creative work. So what does an ideal project look like? What is that for you? Not for the team, obviously, because you take a mix of projects, but for you personally, what is that? What is the Holy Grail look like?
The Holy Grail is the client is an art collector or wants to be an art collector, but that's primary. So we've got a lot of clients that it's actually something that I look for in clients, that they really love art, because I think that's an important touchstone for where a design can start from and include incredible art into their spaces. So that's number one. I think that number two would be that the house that they are wanting to build has some sort of history, and that I can really feed into that history, because I often call it slow architecture. I love being able to see the benefit in a house, and it might be a 70s shit house, but there might be some real benefit in not knocking it down and really rejuvenating it in a really surprising way. And that to me is just joy. So I think that the embodied energy in architecture that's already built, we shouldn't have to build again if it's done well, or even if it's not done well, but I can see a way through that can make that building repair itself in a new design way, then that's really important to me. So I think art, some sort of heritage of the building, and I'm not saying heritage in a historic way, but, again, it could be a 90s building for all that.
It's something you can draw from or pull from to inform the design.
Yeah. I mean, if it was really me, it would be somebody that loves Japanese design, because that's my holy grail. That's my thing.
Can we just circle back to the second point? How do you feel about sustainability? Because I think we're sort of touching on if there's some way we can repair, rescue an existing building or pull from it. Yeah. How do you approach that? And do you get pushback from clients if you are suggesting that they keep a certain part of the building rather than just bowl it over and start again?
So in an initial consult, which I do for clients before they become our clients, I'll walk around a building and say, look, if you're thinking this is a knockdown, I am not your person, because I can see X, Y, Z could happen. And I actually think that we're probably known for that now, because we very rarely get asked to knock down, rebuild.
do it,
I have only done one house that was from the ground up ever, and that was my own house. And the only reason why I did it is that there wasn't anything on that land before. I will always find something in the house that I do an initial consult in. I'd been asked to do an initial consult for a job in Greenwich, and it was an old P&O building, but it had a terrible roof, and it was really dodgy. And there was another architect that was in the running for the job. He had said, knock it down. I came in and went, oh my God, this is amazing. We could make it another,
So amazing. I mean, that's the challenge, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And thankfully they went with me because I just love that house so much. It's become quite a well-known house in Greenwich. And and it's the memory of what was there. And I think that's really important for people in the area of a house, the memory of that house. If you're making it better but not knocking it down, and there's some form of it left over, I think that's really important for the environment, the environment that it lives in.
Yes, not just for
the green environment.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
This is probably a silly question, but do you think that's the difference between men and women? I don't know. Because you said it was a male and he said knock it down.
Yeah.
Do you think most male architects would come in and just go knock it down? I don't know. It's a silly question, but
about that. I think it's actually something that I'd say yes in my age group, but no for the younger.
Yes, you're right. I think generationally there's definitely a shift. Yeah. AI. What are your thoughts on AI? And are you integrating it in the practice? What are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm using ChatGPT. I actually went the full $20 a month recently. I use it when I'm trying to write something. Actually, I used it the other day to try to write a heritage report. Yeah, statement, which was really incredible. It came up with things that I thought, oh, where did you get that from? I'd been doing research and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So that was great. Yes, I think it's going to be a boon. I don't know enough of it yet. I have joined Fiona Kalaki's AI group. Not that I've actually joined it yet, but I have
joined it.
So I am going to learn about it. We just came up to our year's mid-journey and we haven't used it again. We've stopped that because we don't use Mid-Journey, but we are using ChatGPT for doing things like throwing in an image of the sofa, throwing in an image of the fabric that we want to use, and then
and trying
merging
to visualize that.
And it's amazing,
isn't it? It is great.
So amazing.
That's right. I think I always say with AI, you've got to be the boss. Yeah. You've got to know the better the quality the input, the better the quality the output. So I think it's really, but it's just interesting talking to different people about how are they using AI? How do you use it in your daily practice? And will you create a process around it?
Yes.
It's probably still early. I think, in terms of at what point in the design process do you integrate it? Do you, some architects don't like to give 3D renders at all, but now it's almost an expectation by people.
We do everything in 3D and have since I started. We design in 3D and now we've got the ability to visualize completely in 3D. But we're not throwing that into an AI package. We're actually doing it ourselves. So we do SketchUp and Enscape. But that means that we can actually test things in 3D really quickly and it's great. It's imperative, yeah. I don't know whether AI will help us with that because we need to be able to see what's under, what are you seeing from underneath the table, or here's the sofa and what view are you seeing out there? I don't know whether it'll be able to do that, but we're at the forefront, right?
That's right. It is an exciting time. Yeah, absolutely. We're coming to the end of our conversation. It's been so fantastic. I guess I want to ask you a couple of last questions. If you could go back to your younger self, what's one piece of advice you would give her?
Sleep more. You didn't have to keep on redesigning the wheels so often. I think that I should have asked for more help and questions. I guess I should have asked questions rather than just learning the hard way by just having problems and then learning from that and then having the next problem and then learning from that. I have a real propensity for being hit across the face or being able to put my head against a wall, banging it, and be able to go, okay, I won't be doing that one again. So I think, that's what I would have been telling my younger self. Possibly, working for another firm that actually knew how to do business would have been a good thing. But I didn't go through that.
But you also don't know what you don't know, do you? How do you know that they are good at the business side or that they would share that with you?
Yeah, that's right.
That's impossible. So maybe you need to give yourself a little grace on that. But yeah.
Well, it's so far in the distance now.
That's
I feel
right.
so much older.
Well, you experienced. And our final signature question for the podcast, what does build beautiful mean to you?
So when you asked me that the other day, I was like, well, obviously building beautiful is building beautiful architecture and interior design, building beautiful rooms from the inside and out. But really, it's so much more than that. It's building teams. It's building money that you can support your team with. It's building your clients' networking. It's building a place for your clients to feel at home. So it's building a life. That's what it is. So I think that it's not just about building in terms of the physical sense. It really is building so much of a world around you that you then really love everything that you do.
Brooke. Well, I think you've built beautifully, and honestly, it's such a joy to have gotten to know you, the last couple of years, and your work is so beautiful.
As is yours.
Thank you for listening to Build Beautiful. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone who's building something meaningful. It matters more than you know. Follow us on Instagram at Build Beautiful Podcast. Until next time, keep creating with intention, and together we build beautiful.